Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be going over today is learning the notes of your guitar or of your fretboard. So this is a very important concept that will lead directly into learning your power chords and learning your songs. So if you can commit right here this stuff to memory, it'll be in your best interest and it will help you become a fabulous guitarist, and you will pretty much be able to learn most any song you want. And it also ties directly into like playing solos, stuff like that. So let's get into it. Okay, so the way this works is there are several different notes on each of these frets. Basically, every single fret on every single string is a different note. Now, there are only two strings that we're going to be focusing on today, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 7 notes, and that'll kind of transfer into 7 different power chords. But let's focus on the notes right now. So this right here kind of represents a chord chart, but it only represents 2 strings on the chord chart and about 7 frets, the span of 7 frets. So on each string is a different, on each fret is a different note, but we're going to kind of skip over 1 fret each time. So what's nice about this is that we're only focusing on a couple of notes instead of all, I think, like, instead of a lot more. So the notes that we're going to be focusing on is F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. These are all just like the major chords that most people usually use in most chorded songs. So with learning these, it's going to be the same exact chord pattern for each. But we'll touch on that a little bit later. Up here is the very first fret, this guy right here. The F comes, and it's kind of nice to remember because you can remember it like this: E, F, G, A, B, C, C, D, E. So with a lot of these notes, you skip over a fret each time. The problem is with an F and with a C, you do not skip over. You go straight from a B to a C. And that can be a problem for a lot of people just trying to commit it to memory. So it's E and then F, a direct. And you can see that because basically a string represents its own fret. A string just on its, like by itself, represents a fret. And I can show you how that kind of works with this guitar right here. So if you look at this nut right here, and the strings, the open strings, they represent a note. And with that, if I click down on one of these frets on a string, it changes the note, right? But that does not mean that this string is not a note. Even though I'm not pressing on anything, it's still a note. So with note order, I believe that you have a thing right here that tells you note order. It might be in the next lesson, but it goes E, F, and I can show this right here for you. So the note order goes E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. So a lot of the pairing works very similar with these notes when it comes to the chords. A lot of the pairing goes well with these notes when it comes to chords. So with a G, there's usually a C chord within those songs. And with an A comes a D within the songs. And then the B and E don't really fall under that category, and the F and the E don't really fall under that category. But starting with those 4 notes will be a good start for your first song usually. So memorizing these notes can be really tricky. It's still hard for me, even though I've been playing guitar for 3 years. So a good way to remember it is just how to like count, how to count up the letters. So it's E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Kind of goes around in the cycle. Now, what you won't think of is as the open E as a note, usually, because you can't really use that in the power chord system. You'll have to use the power chord for that E down there, and that's going to be on the 7th fret. So another nice way to remember this is that another way to remember this is that each note right here has a dot. I believe on most guitars, it's going to have a dot, and it's going to be like right here, right here, right here, and right here as well. So if you look on your guitar, if you've got it right in front of you, you can see that on each fret, on each one of these frets, because this represents 1st fret, this represents 3rd fret, this represents 5th fret, and this represents the 7th fret. And just to recap, we have the low E string and the A string. Those are the only strings that we're talking about right now. We have F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. There is an infographic on your screen that shows this. So each note that you are going to be using and each fret that you're going to be using has a dot.